Hey guys, Sean, Leslie Lover Dummies. Hope you had a good Christmas. Did I wait long enough? Too bad. Nah. Tidying up some loose ends. I screwed up when I reinstalled the factory regulator in the M17. So I'm gonna go do that. But first, because I go through so many different markers, you know, maybe I shouldn't. I like to keep the variety going, not really just focus on one particular launcher at a time, although I know that makes it a lot easier to find the videos. But I forgot I could look back at the video, but it's just easier for me to test because it's a new day. 16 gram, version 1 bypass, critical situations bolt spring, 8-inch Lapco 684. 9.9 gram riot balls. There are 8 in here. It will shoot 7. 16 gram CO2. Did I say that already? I probably did. And there's that foamy. And something I didn't notice before or mention to you guys. Well, I didn't mention because I didn't notice. Well, as crappy as these things are, I mean, they're just pieces of foam. When you thread your CO2 in, you slide the foam up, and look at that. It actually holds it in there, so it's not going to unwind on you if you were maybe keeping this under your seat or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, we're going to fire it off for velocity, and then I'm going to reinstall the regulator in the correct fashion, and we're going to see if I can't get that 30 joule average that I was seeing with that kind of big clunky external regulator. You can see it doesn't inhibit the twist at all, so that's good. $310. $302. Did you see that blast of CO2 come out the hopper port? There it is again. I'll have to try that one in slow motion because it almost looks like a smoke ring. 274. 260 is the threshold. 260 is 30 joules. So right there, 258 is still 30 actually. That's below 30. Not by much, but yeah. 216. And almost a perfect empty of the magazine. Well, it was a perfect empty, but I didn't stay above 30 and above. So let's go put the rake in. Okay, we're back. I have triple checked that this is in fact installed correctly. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how the M17 should work in factory form by completely removing the velocity screw. With this removed, there is no tension whatsoever on the Bellevue washers that are in there. And this should indicate if I have assembled it correctly. Because how it works is, when I pierce this, the bolt shouldn't click forward. Because this pin, the valve pin in here, is just freely closed. And then I will reinstall the velocity screw, and we'll set it, and we'll go. CO2 is pierced. No noise. And I'm gonna commit the cardinal sin, and that is adjust my velocity while the marker's aired. Now that cardinal sin only applies to less lethal. For paintball purposes and at paintball velocities, you can in fact adjust this screw. But let me tell you something, paintball velocity is like an eighth of a turn or a quarter turn. I can't remember exactly. So you can imagine there isn't a lot of pressure on this cap, and going to field, you know, if you're making adjustments, it's gonna be like this. Not like we're doing where we're winding this thing in. And I don't suspect I'm gonna need to wind it in, so I'm just gonna go with the flow here. And we are gonna power this marker up via the velocity screw. So I'm gonna kind of get it set here somewhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this until you hear the bolt click, until I hear the bolt click. Hear that? That more than likely is probably paintball velocity right there. So in fact, I'm just gonna go just a C hair more. That was like an eighth of a turn. We're gonna do quarter turn. Like that. And now you can see there's quite a bit of tension on that, right? At this point, if I tried to go further with this marker gassed up, there's a very high likelihood I'm gonna pop that cap right off. So we're not going to do that. We are gonna test it. Intact regulator, looking for 30 joule average, 10 gram, 9.9 gram, right balls. $2.48. $2.44. It's not 30, but it looks like it's gonna hold a pretty good number here. So at this point, I'm gonna fire off this magazine, put in a new CO2. Only this time I am not going to adjust it while it's gassed up. Yeah, those are pretty solid numbers. I'm actually quite surprised. Might have been able to get a 12 rounder off. Damn, it would have been close. All right. Make some adjustments and we'll be back. Okay, so that's where we left off. Quarter turn from when the marker charged. So CO2 being as sensitive as it is, I'm gonna go, I don't know. We're gonna go another quarter. Like that. That was a quarter, right? .9. Aiming for 260 average. That would be my fault. Okay, well hopefully that didn't blow the test. Nope, and you see what happened? It did not like me adjusting that reg any higher. It literally just went back to a bypass, essentially. 274, we'll finish it off. 260. 246. 224. It just did exactly pretty much a V1 right there with a quarter turn. Let me try one more time. We are going to unthread this, start like I did from scratch, gas the marker when I hear it click, but we're gonna do the quarter turn, We're gonna try and squeeze a little more, even though I should not. All right, back to square one. Intact regulator, no velocity screw. Shouldn't hear click. Marker's unloaded. What I'm doing this time, I would never recommend. So I'm going past the point I should be going. No click, that's good. Going to reinstall the velocity screw. Just gonna make it, put a little tension on it so I can hopefully get more than a quarter turn this time. So I'm gonna turn it till it clicks. And then we're gonna go, I'm gonna end up in the same spot. I'm just gonna kind of stand over here in case something happens, guys. I got more than a quarter. Yeah, 9.9. 244, 46, 48, that's kind of what it did the first time, so I'm hoping for better. Nope. She's gone wide open. 310. $304. 284. 264. 252. Below the threshold. 838. Should be one more. There you have it. Factory regulator is just not up to snuff with CO2. Before I go, one thing I'll mention, if you are going to be running CO2 in a manner that like I'm doing here with a 16 gram in the back, regardless of if you have an external regulator or you're using this factory regulator, which was perfectly adequate for 244 average with a 9.9. I don't know why. Well, actually I do know why. So once I've expelled all the CO2 or expelled my magazine, and you know when I was dry firing, so what I was actually finding, when I was doing that, when I got down to not enough CO2 to reset the bolt was attempting to push back. There was still just enough CO2 in the chamber that it wouldn't allow the bolt to reset. Even after removing all the apparatus on the back, air was being trapped inside. So if you're doing that, I don't recommend you fire until it's empty. With a 16 gram like this, you just saw, I just fired off whatever, 7 rounds. There's probably still 3 or 4 shots left in it. There is no harm in just taking it off, and it comes off super easy. Just like that. And this thing makes awesome punctures, by the way. Well, there you have it. So factory reg is just not going to work for what I'm doing. It won't maintain a 30 joule average. So external reg it is, unless I am going to try a very fine brass port in here. The brass orifice that's in here already is quite large. I mean, you can literally look through it, comparatively to a Umarex style where it's like a pinhole, and I'm thinking a pinhole might do good in here. But first, I have to locate the set screw, and then I have to drill said pinhole. So stay tuned for that, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.